Hello and welcome to New Play Day on Shakesyear. We are going to dig into the Spanish tragedy today, which is another play that falls under the category of Shakespearean Apocrypha. It probably wasn't written entirely by Shakespeare. It was probably largely written by Thomas Kyd, similar to Arden of Faversham, but there were some like additional documents or additional scenes, whatever, that were written in handwriting that looked very much like Shakespeare's that were sort of shoved into this play. So the possibility is that he wrote some of it. The first few publications of this play were published anonymously, and people have been trying to figure out ever since who actually wrote it. So it does fall under the category of Shakespearean Apocrypha, but is probably not an actually entirely written by Shakespeare. But as the title suggests, it is a tragedy, but it's also interesting because it is a revenge tragedy, which was a new type of play for this particular period of time. And revenge is one of the characters that's in it. There's also a lot of Latin spoken in this play and a lot of references to Greek mythology in this play, so bear with me. I'm going to do my best in terms of pronunciation because this is not a play that's super familiar to me and I don't speak Latin. So let's just go ahead and dig in and see what happens. So at the start of the play, we get the ghost of Don Andrea comes in along with a character who is the personification of revenge. And the ghost of Don Andrea sets the scene for the whole play by saying, "When this eternal substance of my soul did live imprisoned in my wanton flesh, each in their function serving others' need, I was a courtier in the Spanish court. My name was Don Andrea. My descent, though not ignoble, yet inferior far to gracious fortunes of my tender youth. For there, in the prime and pride of all my years, by duteous service and deserving love, in secret, I possessed a worthy dame, which high sweet Belle Imperia by name. But in the harvest of my summer joys, death's winter nipped the blossoms of my bliss, forcing divorce betwixt my love and me. For in the late conflict with Portugal, my valor drew me into danger's mouth, till life to death made passage through my wounds. When I was slain, my soul descended straight to pass the flowing stream of Acheron, but churlish Charon, only boatman there, said that, my rites of burial not performed, I might not sit amongst his passengers, ere Sol had slept 3 nights in Thetis' lap, and slacked his smoking chariot in her flood. By Don Horatio, our knight marshal's son, my funerals and obsequies were done. Then was the ferryman of hell content to pass me over the slimy strand that leads to fell Avernus' ugly waves. There, pleasing Cerberus with honeyed speech, I passed the perils of the foremost porch. Not far from hence, amidst 10,000 souls, sat Minos, Echius, and Rhadamanth, to whom no sooner again I make approach to crave a passport for my wandering ghost, but Minos, in graven leaves of lottery, drew forth the manner of my life and death. This night, quoth he, both lived and died in love, and for his love tried fortune of the wars, and by war's fortune lost both love and life. Why then, said Aeacus, convey him hence to walk with lovers in our fields of love, and spend the course of everlasting time under green myrtle trees and cypress shades. No, no, said Rhadamanth, it were not well with living souls to place a martialist. He died in war and must to martial fields, where wounded Hector lives in lasting pain, and Achilles' myrmidons do scour the plain. Then Minos, mildest censor of the 3, made this device to end the difference. Send him, quoth he, to our infernal king, to doom him as best seems his majesty. To this effect, my passport straight was drawn. In keeping on my way to Pluto's court, through dreadful shades of ever-glooming night, I saw more sights than 1,000 tongues can tell, or pens can write, or mortal hearts can think. 3 ways there were, that on the right-hand side was ready way unto the foresaid fields, where lovers live and bloody martialists, but either sort contained within his bounds. The left-hand path, declining fearfully, was ready downfall to the deepest hell, where bloody furies shakes their whips of steel, and poor Ixion turns an endless wheel, where usurers are choked with melting gold, and wantons are embraced with ugly snakes, and murderers groan with never-killing wounds, and perjured wights scalded in boiling lead, and all foul sins with torments o'erwhelmed. Twixt these 2 ways, I trod the middle path, which brought me to the fair Elysian green, in midst whereof there stands a stately tower, the walls of brass, the gates of adamant. Here finding Pluto with his Proserpine, showed my passport, humbled on my knee, whereat fair Proserpine began to smile, and begged that only she might give my doom. Pluto was pleased, and sealed it with a kiss. Forthwith, Revenge, she rounded thee in the ear, and bade thee lead me through the gates of horn, where dreams have passage in the silent night. No sooner had she spoke, but we were here, I wot not how, in twinkling of an eye. So this is the very long backstory of Don Andrea's journey into the afterlife, and it was definitely an adventurous one. He tells us that before he died, he was a courtier in the Spanish court, and he was in love with a beautiful woman named Belimperia, who was maybe a little bit higher in status than he was, so a little bit of a forbidden love kind of thing. But then he had to go off to war to fight Portugal, because Spain and Portugal went to war with each other, and in that war he was killed, and his soul was sent into the afterlife, and he's had quite a time since he got here. Like, first he couldn't get into the boat to go to the afterlife because he hadn't had a funeral yet, but then his funeral happened so he could get in the boat, and he gets there, and the 3 guys that are supposed to tell him like what his afterlife sentence is can't agree on where he's supposed to go. So one of them thinks that he should spend eternity with lovers, one with the military. They finally decide that they should leave it up to Pluto what happens to this guy, what happens to Don Andrea. So he then has to go down this pathway, and over here are the fields, and over there is like the pit of hell where all the horrible things are happening, and he saw some really atrocious stuff. But he stays on the middle path in front of him that eventually takes him to Pluto, and that eventually takes him to Pluto and Proserpine, and she's like, oh, please let me decide what's going to happen to him, and Pluto's like, okay, cool. So she brings in Revenge and is like, all right, you guys go have fun. And no sooner has she said that than Don Andrea and the personification of Revenge end up where they are now at the start of the play, and Don Andrea has no idea how he actually got there or really what he's doing there, but this is his afterlife, to be a ghost here with the personification of Revenge. And Revenge is like, yeah, cool, I know, this is great. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch the guy who killed you, who happens to be Balthazar, the Prince of Portugal. We're going to watch him get killed by Belimperia. So that'll be fun, and let's see how all that goes. So throughout the rest of the play, like that's the end of Act 1, Scene 1, but throughout the rest of the play, the ghost of Don Andrea and the personification of Revenge are just present, observing all of the other stuff that is going on. So this is what his afterlife is about, is getting revenge on Balthazar, the Prince of Portugal, for killing him. But of course he can't do that himself, he's a ghost. So we're gonna have to see how the whole thing plays out, and how is Belimperia involved, and all that sort of fun stuff. So there's still plenty of play left. Lots of long monologues in this one, lots of Latin, which again, bear with me. But yeah, it should be a fun journey, and I'll see you tomorrow for more. Mwah.